Let's start with the truth. No one tells you. Most women do get chased at first. The good morning texts, the flirty banter, the compliments, it all feels like a dream. But then suddenly, it all stops. The energy shifts. He pulls back. He becomes distant, cold, unavailable. And you're left confused, asking yourself, was it me? Did I do something wrong? But here's what really happened. He never had to earn you. In the beginning, men chase because of curiosity, but they stay, they commit, they become obsessed when there's a challenge, a depth, a mystery, when they sense a woman who knows her worth, who moves differently and doesn't play by the typical rules. Most women are taught to impress a man, to look perfect, to be nice, to seem low maintenance. But the truth, that energy doesn't make you unforgettable. It makes you replaceable. In this video, you're going to learn why being chased isn't the goal. Being pursued relentlessly is. There's a difference between a man flirting for fun and a man fighting to win your heart. And it all starts with you, with bold moves, with unapologetic confidence, with becoming the kind of woman he can't put into a category because you don't fit the mold. So if you've ever been ghosted, breadcrumbed, or tired of short-term attention that goes nowhere, this is the moment you take your power back. There's a reason why walking away first and doing it in complete silence is one of the boldest moves you can ever make as a woman. Because in that one powerful action, you do something most women are too afraid to do. You choose yourself over the fantasy. You see, men are used to being the ones who control the rhythm of the connection. They're used to women waiting around, hoping for clarity, asking for closure, or trying to fix what's slowly falling apart. But when you walk away, without begging, without tears, and most importantly, without explaining, you interrupt that pattern. You shock his system. And suddenly, the woman he thought would always be there is gone. The truth is, when you explain your worth, you're trying to prove something. And the moment you're in proving mode, you're already out of alignment with your power. Because the woman who knows her value doesn't explain it. She lets her silence say everything. Walking away first isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. Clear that you're not here to participate in confusion. Clear that mixed signals are a deal breaker. Clear that you refuse to fight for a man who won't fight for you. And that clarity is magnetic. It's what lingers in his mind when you're no longer available. It's what makes him realize that you're not like the rest. Because they stayed and tolerated, but you walked away like a woman who knows she's the prize. There's something powerful about removing yourself from someone's life when they expected you to stay. That absence echoes. It plays over and over in his mind. He starts to wonder, why did she leave so easily? Why didn't she explain herself? Was I not enough? Or was she just too much woman for me to handle? That's when the chase begins. Not when you complain, not when you over-communicate, but when you exit gracefully with your silence. Because nothing haunts a man more than a woman who walked away and never looked back. Most women feel they owe men explanations, that walking away without saying anything is rude, dramatic, or immature. But here's the truth. Closure is a luxury that only some deserve. If a man left you in confusion, fed you breadcrumbs, or played hot and cold, he lost the privilege of your explanation. And here's the deeper part. When you walk away first, you're not just teaching him a lesson. You're also healing a version of yourself that used to stay far too long. The version that begged to be chosen, that settled for almost, that believed silence meant rejection instead of respecting your own peace. Walking away first is a spiritual shift. It tells the universe, I am no longer available for half love. I don't chase, I attract. I'm no longer asking someone to see me. I see myself now. And in doing so, you shift the power dynamic completely. You become the woman he can't stop thinking about. Not because you manipulated him, not because you played a game, but because you had the courage to disappear before he realized what he had. So if you've been wondering whether you should explain, stay, or try again, maybe the most powerful move isn't another message or another conversation. Maybe the power is in your silence. Maybe the magic is in walking away first. And maybe, just maybe, that's the moment he realizes he's already lost something too rare to ever find again. There's a quiet, almost hypnotic strength in the kind of woman who doesn't need to perform to be noticed. She's not trying too hard. She's not always available. She's not loudly demanding attention. And yet, every room she walks into, people feel her presence. That is the essence of soft power. It's not about manipulation or playing hard to get. It's about embodying a kind of self-assured femininity that doesn't chase validation, and in doing so becomes irresistibly magnetic. Most women are taught that in order to attract a man, they need to be outgoing, bubbly, overly expressive, and constantly engaged. But soft power flips that idea on its head. This kind of energy doesn't scream for attention. It invites curiosity. It leaves room for wonder. It makes a man lean in, slow down, and try to figure you out. And that's exactly what creates long-term attraction. Mystery doesn't mean silence. It doesn't mean pretending you don't care. It means not handing over your entire essence to someone who hasn't earned it. It means answering his questions with just enough to intrigue him, not unloading your whole life story in the first few conversations. It means having a life so rich, full, and self-sustained that he realizes you're not looking for someone to complete you. You're inviting someone who complements you. Soft power is about doing less and being more. It's about pausing before you respond, holding eye contact with calm confidence, smiling in a way that suggests you know something he doesn't. It's about creating an emotional space that makes a man feel safe, yet still uncertain, safe enough to want to be close, but unsure enough to feel like he could still lose you. And that tension, that's where desire lives. What separates a woman who's chased endlessly from one who's momentarily admired is this: the woman with soft power knows she is the reward. She doesn't over-explain her feelings. She doesn't show her entire emotional hand too quickly. She lets a man discover her in layers. And the slower he unravels those layers, the more addicted he becomes. Men don't chase women who give everything away too fast. Not because they're shallow, but because psychologically humans crave progressive reward. The more effort someone has to put in to earn your emotional attention, the more they value it. That's not a game, that's human behavior. Soft power teaches you to be fully present without being fully exposed, to share your joy without broadcasting your wounds, to love without losing your center. You don't need to tell him your boundaries. You show them in how you carry yourself. You don't need to prove your worth. You embody it. That's what makes him want to come closer, again and again, because you don't just stimulate his eyes, you stimulate his imagination, and that is far more powerful. So when you think of feminine energy, stop thinking about how to be sexy or appealing. Think about how to be unreadable, in the most beautiful way. Not cold, not distant, but centered, at peace, rooted in a quiet confidence that says, I don't need to chase love, because I am love, I just choose where I place it. The woman who masters soft power doesn't run after attention. She lets it come to her, and then decides who's worthy of staying. Because she knows the most mysterious thing in the world is a woman who knows she doesn't have to explain her magic. One of the boldest, most attractive things a woman can do is stand firm in her standards without shrinking, softening, or apologizing for them. In a world that constantly pressures women to be easygoing, low maintenance, and cool with anything, holding your standards isn't just powerful, it's revolutionary. Because here's the truth. Men don't fall for the woman who bends to please them. They fall for the woman who teaches them how to rise. A lot of women are afraid to be too much, too direct, too opinionated, too hard to please. So they compromise. They accept half-hearted effort. They stay quiet about what hurts. They pretend to be okay with the bare minimum, hoping that their patience will one day turn into a payoff. But that energy doesn't attract real love. It attracts convenience. And you were never meant to be someone's easy option. You were meant to be a woman who is chosen intentionally, not out of comfort or habit. Owning your standards is not about being rude, demanding, or controlling. It's about being crystal clear on what you will and will not allow into your life, and having the confidence to walk away from anything that falls short of that. You don't beg for effort. You don't negotiate respect. You don't stay quiet to protect someone's ego while your spirit suffers in silence. The woman who owns her standards is magnetic because she knows her worth is not negotiable. And that energy, men feel it, even before you speak it. They feel it in the way you pause when someone crosses a boundary. They feel it when you don't chase after a man who pulls away. They feel it when you don't justify your needs or over-explain why you expect to be treated well. This kind of woman doesn't ask, is this too much? She asks, is he even capable of showing up for a woman like me? Men chase the woman who challenges them to be better, Not because she's trying to change him, but because being in her presence requires more. Her standards aren't a test. They're a reflection of her self-respect. And when a man sees that, he either levels up or walks away. And if he walks away, let him. Because the man who's scared off by your standards was never strong enough to hold the weight of your heart. Let that be your filter, not your failure. When you own your standards without apology, you stop trying to convince a man to choose you. And instead you start observing how he responds to the version of you that refuses to shrink. Does he get defensive, dismissive, or does he lean in and ask what you need, not out of fear, but out of genuine care? That's how you know. So many women lose their power trying to mold themselves into what a man wants. But real attraction doesn't happen when you fit in. It happens when you stand out. When you draw a line and say, if you want access to my heart, you'll have to come correct. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be liked by everyone. You just need to be authentic enough to demand what you deserve, and brave enough to walk away when it's not given. That's the woman he chases. Not because she's hard to get, but because she's impossible to replace. There's a common mistake so many women make early in a connection. They hand over emotional access far too quickly. They open up their hearts, their energy, and their inner world to someone who hasn't done the work to deserve it. But here's the truth. If a man doesn't have to earn your emotional access, he will never value it. And emotional access doesn't just mean vulnerability. It means your time, your softness, your attention, your concern, your support, all the things that make you emotionally available and deeply connected. These are sacred gifts, not default settings. When you give those parts of yourself away too early, too easily, or without discernment, you condition a man to think that your energy is free, that he doesn't need to do much, or anything at all, to have you emotionally invested. But when a woman makes a man earn her emotional presence, it changes the game. Suddenly he's not just receiving love, he's working to be worthy of it. He's showing up, listening closely, paying attention, investing time, and earning his place in your inner circle. And this is when a man truly becomes emotionally attached, not when he's impressed by your beauty, but when he realizes how rare your emotional depth is, and how carefully you protect it. The women who get emotionally exhausted in relationships are often the ones who gave too much too far. They shared too deeply, too soon. They began nurturing, supporting, and caring, like a girlfriend, or even a wife, before the man had proven himself as a trustworthy partner. And eventually that imbalance drains her, because she's pouring into a cup that never earned her water to begin with. But a high-value woman, she understands that access to her emotional world is a privilege, not because she's cold, not because she's manipulative, but because she respects herself enough to protect her peace. This kind of woman doesn't rush to respond to every message. She doesn't share all her past traumas on the second date. She doesn't offer comfort to a man who hasn't shown up consistently. She allows connection to build, but she paces it. She observes, she listens, and most importantly, she receives before she gives. And when she does open up, it's intentional. It's not to win him over, it's because he's shown emotional maturity, consistency, and respect. That's when her softness becomes a gift. That's when her emotional access feels like a reward, not a default. And that reward, that's what makes him chase. Because men value what they work for. They stay where they've invested effort. They fall harder for the woman they had to grow into, not the one they casually stumbled upon. So if you're someone who loves deeply, who feels everything intensely, who wants real connection, that's beautiful. But don't let your big heart become your biggest weakness. Let it be your most protected treasure. Don't rush to explain yourself. Don't force emotional closeness. Don't try to bond through oversharing. Let him earn the right to hear your thoughts. Let him prove that he can hold your emotions with care. Let him step into the role of a man worthy of your intimacy. Because when he has to work for your emotional access, he doesn't just feel connected, he feels invested. And an invested man doesn't drift away. He leans in, he chases, and he cherishes the woman who knew her emotions were never meant to be handed out freely, but given to the one who truly showed up for them. One of the most powerful shifts a woman can make in dating and relationships is this. Stop trying to be chosen and start choosing. Because the moment you stop auditioning for love and start acting like you're the prize, everything changes, including how men see and pursue you. From a young age, many women are conditioned to seek approval, to wonder if they're good enough, to believe that a man choosing them is the ultimate win. So what do? They overgive, over-explain, overperform, just to be liked, validated, or kept. And in that dynamic, they unknowingly place the man on a pedestal, while shrinking their own worth in the process. But when you flip the frame, when you walk into every interaction knowing you are the prize, the energy shifts. You're no longer sitting in self-doubt, hoping to be picked. You're evaluating. You're observing. You're asking, is this man emotionally safe? Is he capable of matching my standards, my peace, my effort? And trust me, men feel that shift. They feel it in how you carry yourself, in the way you don't seek validation, but naturally attract it, in the way you aren't fazed by silence, delays, or disinterest, because you're not chasing energy that doesn't match yours. When a woman knows she's the prize, she becomes magnetic, not because she's arrogant, but because she's rooted. She's grounded in the fact that her presence, her mind, her peace, her loyalty, her softness, these are rare, and she doesn't give that rarity to just anyone who shows interest. The real secret: men are wired to pursue, but they only stay invested in what they perceive as valuable. If you constantly give without receiving, chase without being pursued, or lower your standards for crumbs of affection, you're sending a message: I don't believe I'm the prize, so I'll settle just to be kept. And that energy kills attraction. But the woman who flips the frame plays a different game. She doesn't rush into labels. She doesn't chase clarity. She doesn't try to lock him down, because she knows a man who truly sees her value will step up without being forced. She's not afraid of losing someone. She's more afraid of losing herself, trying to hold on to the wrong person. That's power. That's confidence. That's the kind of energy that makes a man rewire his entire approach. Because suddenly he's not just trying to get the girl, he's trying to deserve her. Flipping the frame also means you stop making rejection mean something about you. When you're the prize, you understand that not everyone is meant to have access, that some people walk away, not because you weren't enough, but because your energy demanded more than they were ready to give. And here's the beautiful part: when you live in this mindset, you become unshakable. You're not moved by games. You're not panicked by mixed signals. You're calm. You're clear. You're powerful. Because you know who you are, and more importantly, you know what you deserve. So if you've ever felt like you're waiting to be chosen, waiting for effort, waiting for love to finally find you, stop waiting. Flip the frame. See yourself the way a high-value woman does. Because when you do, love doesn't become something you chase. It becomes something you magnetize. You are the prize. Act like it, and watch how the world shifts to meet the woman who finally remembered her worth. There comes a moment in every woman's life where she finally realizes her silence is louder than her words, and her absence is more powerful than her presence. That moment isn't about ego. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about reclaiming your value and understanding a universal truth. When you step back, the right man steps up. The woman who constantly reaches out, who fixes everything, who fills every space and solves every emotional need, she becomes predictable. And over time, what's predictable becomes invisible. Not because she's not worthy, but because she's always there. And presence without boundaries slowly turns into background noise. But when you step back, not in anger, not to punish, but from a place of peace and self-respect, you shift the dynamic entirely. You give a man the gift of feeling your absence. And that is where realization is born. You see, men process through space in the silence where they feel what they've been taking for granted. It's in your calm withdrawal that they notice what you used to bring into their life. Your warmth, your presence, your loyalty, your emotional generosity. And if he's the right man, your absence doesn't create distance, it creates urgency. The truth is, constantly showing up for someone who isn't showing up for you doesn't create closeness, it creates imbalance. And imbalance leads to resentment, emotional burnout, and ultimately disconnection. But when you stop overgiving and allow space to exist, you allow clarity to rise. You give both of you the chance to see what's really there and who's really willing to show up. Stepping back isn't weakness, it's a test of strength. It says, I refuse to beg for consistency. I'm done performing for love. I choose peace over chaos, alignment over attachment. This kind of energy commands respect. It's what separates the woman who waits to be loved from the woman who chooses herself and becomes impossible to forget. And here's the thing, if stepping back causes him to disappear completely, he was never truly invested. Let that be your answer, not your heartbreak. Because the man who's meant to be in your life will feel your absence, and it will create a fire in him. It won't scare him. it will wake him up. He'll step forward, not with empty words, but with aligned action. Not with promises, but with presence. Because he'll know that a woman like you doesn't beg. A woman like you doesn't chase. A woman like you is a blessing, not a backup plan. So take a breath and let go of the fear that if you stop reaching, everything will fall apart. If it does, it wasn't meant to stand in the first place. You are not here to force love. You are here to be met where you are, loved in your wholeness, and cherished without having to prove yourself. When you step back, you take the spotlight off of him and shine it onto yourself. You remember who you are, you heal, you glow, and the right man will see that glow from a distance and run to meet you there. Because the man who truly wants you, he doesn't let space become silent. He lets it become his reason to rise. Step back, not to test him, but to honor yourself. Step back, not to manipulate him, but to realign with your worth. Because when you do, one of two things happens. He fades or he fights. And either way, you win.